What is going on, everybody, and welcome to today's training video. Today, we're going to be talking all about how to maximize muscle growth using science-based strategies and techniques. And I'm super excited to dive into this video, guys, because today, this is my first time creating a video kind of like this. So I want to ask you guys, after you watch and we go over all of the factors to maximize your muscle growth, I want you to comment down in the comment section down below what you guys think of this video and the format that it's laid out. If it's helpful to you, please like it and make sure, again, you drop a comment down below that you found this video helpful, useful, valuable, because then I will make more of them for you guys. But let's not wait any longer. Topic number one, let's just talk about muscle hypertrophy, which is the growth of muscle tissue and how exactly that is done and why we want it to be done. So of course we want to grow muscles so that we can increase our strength, we can increase our aesthetics, and as time goes on, if we lower our body fat percentage and we increase our muscle mass, we're going to be overall more aesthetic with the way that we carry ourselves, and that is what a lot of people like. So how is muscle hypertrophy accomplished? It's accomplished with multiple daily habits, but the four biggest daily habits are going to be optimizing your training, optimizing your nutrition so that you are recovering properly from that training, and then making sure we're getting enough sleep as well as hydration. Those are going to be the four core habits that you have to do consistently so that we optimize how much muscle we build over time. Now, we can't just go to the gym and show up and not go there without purpose or intention behind our training. We, over time, have to focus on one of the biggest key factors when it comes to building new muscle mass, and that is going to be progressive overload. So progressive overload comes in many ways, shapes, and sizes. The main two that we usually always know, and it is probably the most common, is going to be increasing your overall weight with each exercise over time. And then the next one is going to be getting 1 or 2 extra reps over a period of time with that given set. Now, there's other components of progressive overload that we don't often think about other than increasing the overall weight that we're using or getting 1 extra rep. One of the other easy ways that we can progressively overload our muscles over a period of time is also adding 1 extra set to a given exercise that we're doing. Now remember, you don't want to just start out by doing a lot of sets. You want to build up that muscle over time. So in order to do so, we want to make sure that we are increasing our weight, our reps, and our sets over a period of time too with each exercise. Now, the last thing that I just want to mention also, which is another component of progressive overload, is also your overall form and technique. So with that being said, with your form and your technique, it's important to, from the start, always have good form. But as you continue to progressively overload and you're running out of room when it comes to adding new weight, adding an extra rep, or getting an extra set in there, you can also focus more on your exercise technique by slowing the movement down, more specifically with the eccentric movement, where our muscles are able to handle the load with more control. If we can slow that down, we are also progressively overloading our muscles over a period of time also. So not just focusing on the weight, the reps, the sets, but also the technique and the pace or cadence that we are doing each of those reps adds up over time. All right, and next up is going to be exercise selection and technique. If you want to maximize your muscle growth, it is essential to focus on compound movements because we only have, well, most of us only have so much time in the day to go to the gym. And if we only have a set amount of time to allocate to our gym sessions, you're going to want to focus on compound movements. So if we are limited on time when we go to the gym, it is super important to focus on compound movements because when we're using compound movements in our training, we are targeting multiple muscle groups in one exercise. A good example of this is going to be your squat, your deadlift, and your bench press. When you are using bench press, you're not just targeting your chest, say like a chest fly where it's more of an isolated movement. When you are doing bench press, you are targeting your chest, your front delts, and also a lot of your triceps also. And same thing when it comes to squats, you're targeting a lot of your core muscle to keep your body upright, but at the same time, of course, we're hitting the quads and glutes and hamstrings for stability too. Now, yes, a squat might be more so quad focused if we're using a standard stance, but if we go a little bit wider with that stance, we actually might target the glutes a little bit more. So the technique of each exercise also goes into play. However, overall, when you're squatting, you're working more than just your quads. Same thing with deadlift. You're bracing your core, quads, glutes, hamstrings, and even your upper back. A lot of muscles are being used, so focusing on compound movements, especially at the beginning of your workout, is going to be super important if you only have so much time to your gym session. Now, next up, let's talk about nutrition. So the two biggest components when it comes to nutrition and maximizing your muscle growth is going to be the performance that it gives you at the gym. So when you fuel your body properly, you are feeling your performance at the gym. And then also nutrition comes into play when it comes to recovery. So when you hear the word recovery, oftentimes that is meaning that we are getting enough calories and enough macronutrients to support our muscle being recovered fully after a strenuous training session. Now, it's going to be dependent on your goals overall in the gym. If you're trying to lose weight, then we need to be in a caloric deficit in order to be able to do so. If we are looking to just maintain our weight, we also need to keep our calories right around that maintenance level. But if you're looking to maximize your muscle growth, you're going to want to be in a slight caloric surplus so that over a period of time of eating in a calorie surplus while fueling your body properly with enough protein as a macronutrient, enough carbohydrates as your main energy source, and also enough fats so that your body is producing hormones on a regular basis. Also, all of these three macronutrients are going to come into play while eating in a slight caloric surplus to help maximize your body's recovery rate. So when we go to the gym, we are tearing down those muscle fibers. When we are not at the gym, that is when our body goes into recovery mode, and it's banking on things like nutrition, sleep, and your hydration to help activate that recovery process as much as possible. So that leads me right into the next topic that I want to talk about, and that is rest and recovery. Rest and recovery is going to be one of those topics that just doesn't always click with people right when they're starting their fitness journey. A lot of times people always think, if I go to the gym more, I will build more muscle. However, everyone grows muscle at different rates, and if you are just starting out on your fitness journey, you might not have to work out as much in order to maximize your muscle growth, because when you are just starting out, your muscles are not used to being torn down in a resistance training session as much as if you have been going to the gym for a long period of time. So when you first start out on your fitness journey, it's going to take your body longer oftentimes to recover. So even though it is beyond important to show up and go to the gym, it's also, if not even more important, to make sure that we are focusing on your recovery, making sure that your muscles are fully recovering, if not close to being fully recovered after a resistance training session, if you want to maximize your muscle growth. Because think about this, if you are constantly going into the gym, tearing down your muscle fibers, and if your muscles aren't fully recovered from that last resistance training session, then you're doing your body a disservice by already breaking down those muscle fibers once again. It's important to know exactly where you're at in your fitness journey so you can gauge your recovery time so that you come up with a structured workout program that optimizes when you work out, when you recover, and when your muscles are ready to go back to action and be torn down once again. So what are the biggest components of rest and recovery? Again, I said it all the way from the start. When you go to the gym, you go to the gym to tear down those muscle fibers. How do we rebuild those muscle fibers? Through sufficient nutrition, which is getting your calories in, Particularly if you want to maximize or build muscle mass, you want to be in a slight caloric surplus over a period of time. And when you're in that slight caloric surplus, you also want to make sure that you are getting enough protein in your diet. Typically, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is going to be a good area to start for most people. And then you want to make sure that you are getting enough carbohydrates to help energize your performance at the gym, as well as your recovery after the gym sessions. When you have and consume carbohydrates, your body breaks carbohydrates down in the form of glycogen, which gets stored in your liver and in your muscles. And those glycogen stores bind to water and also help you with readily available energy to be used on the dot. And last up, the fat is going to help with hormone production, which is also super important. But all in all, your nutrition is going to be huge when it comes to optimizing your recovery, which maximizes your muscle growth. Next up, when do we recover the most? When we are sleeping. So it's important to get at least every single night 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And I know that can be tough for a lot of people, but sometimes we have to set that discipline, set that evening alarm clock saying this is when I need to go to bed, just like we set a morning alarm clock. If you have a hard time going to bed at a specific time, set an evening alarm clock. That's just going to signal to you saying, hey, it's time for me to get to bed, because sleep is that important, not just for maximizing muscle growth and making sure that our body is recovering fully, but also so you're able to function properly on a daily basis. You don't want to be just walking around like a zombie all day and then going into your gym session that next day and not giving it your best. It's important to get enough sleep. And then last up, hydration is going to be essential for your recovery. Our body is made up of water. And if our body is made up of water, it is vital to consume enough water so that all of the mechanisms in our body are functioning properly. All right, guys, so let's backtrack it and go all the way back to the top so we can summarize all of the key points here. To maximize your muscle growth, we got to make sure first off that we are showing up to the gym and doing your gym sessions on a normal basis. Over a period of time, we need to focus on progressive overload, which is when we are moving new weight, when we are getting an extra rep, or when we are getting an extra set in an exercise, or even focusing on your overall technique. It's important to choose the right exercises, particularly prioritizing compound movements, so that the time that we go to the gym is being used wisely and working multiple muscle groups at the same time. After that, it's good to fill the rest of your time with those isolated movements that are going to help target specific muscle groups a little bit more. But again, start out with those compound movements if you are crunched on time. Nutrition is key when it comes to recovery. You want to make sure that you are prioritizing how much calories you are getting to reach your goal. If you're trying to lose body fat, you need to be in a slight caloric deficit. If you're trying to maximize your muscle growth, like we talked about in this video, we need to be in a slight caloric surplus. Keep in mind, slight caloric surplus so that we minimize the amount of fat that we put on our body in the process also. And then when it comes to what those calories are made of, or the macronutrients, we want to make sure that we are getting at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to kick it off and start out with. That is a good standard for most people, but it's okay if you drop down to 0.8 also. But if you're at a caloric deficit, you might need a little bit more protein to retain that muscle mass over a period of time, maybe somewhere from 1 gram per pound of body weight to even 1.2 for protein. Make sure we're optimizing how much carbs we're getting so that we get enough energy for replenishing our glycogen stores and optimizing our performance in the gym. And then also making sure that we are getting enough fat in our diet too, particularly from healthy food options. And then that last one, rest and recovery. It is going to be so important. When our body is recovering the most is when you're sleeping. So make sure you get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep if you want to optimize how much muscle you are going to be building. And then same thing when it comes to your water intake on it. Don't skip out on your hydration, everybody. A good starting point there is going to be half your body weight in ounces of water every single day. For myself, I drink at least 1 gallon of water every single day. All right, guys, well, that does it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you also learned something new. Please, if you can, just take a second, hop down in the comment section down below and let me know if you enjoyed this format of a video where it's more of a sit down presentation style where we're talking and we're going over a very specific topic, but really in depth. I really love getting nitty and gritty with the details when it comes to talking about all the science-based strategies to optimize muscle growth, optimize fat loss, or anything that's gonna help you reach your goal. So please comment down below if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We upload 2 new YouTube videos every single Monday and Thursday, and we aren't gonna skip out on it. Some days I might be getting a little bit later with the uploads, but we are working on that. And also, if you missed the last video, check it out right up here, guys. It is a banger. You're gonna love it. We'll see you in the next one.